what's up, subscribers of Film Companion? Good evening. Hi, Anu. Hi, Rahul.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so we're back once again with another live stream, and I have like this cool new mic. Very cool. So, abhi kya hua na? Recently, we've realized that some of our favorite films have turned 20 years old. If you want to read more about these films, go to the Film Companion website. You'll get to know more about more films. But today, me, Anu, and Rahul want to talk to you about three movies, namely Lagaan, K3G, and Dil Chahta Hai. So we're going to be talking to you about these movies. We're going to be talking to you about silly stuff in the movies, our favorite stuff from the movies. There's going to be a quiz where we're going to quiz each other, which I'm very excited about, and we're going to be quizzing you also. और ऐसे खाली पीली हवा में quiz नहीं कर रहे हैं. If you get the right answers, you're also going to be winning prizes from Film Companion. What in the world? Anu, what are the prizes? Please tell.
So the prizes are you can get membership to the front row and you can get merchandise from Bare Anatomy. How exciting is that?
Bare Anatomy merchandise. How cool. Do we get do I get Bare Anatomy merchandise?
No.
But listen, if you want to qualify for these prizes, you guys, the winners will be announced tomorrow on the Film Companion social media handles. So make sure you follow everywhere, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and make sure that when you're answering right now, the questions through your YouTube handles, that your email ID is there in your YouTube about section. Okay, so आपके जो पेज है YouTube का, उस पे about section में आपका email ID बहुत जरूरी है, नहीं तो हमें कैसे पता चलेगा, है ना, हवा में, how we'll reach you. So hi Saptashwa, hi Noor, Pokhraj as always is just always online, Likhita, Nikita, Chirag, Varun, Theresa, Android Covenant. Wow. Okay, so lots of people. राहुल, आपको देख के लग रहा है कि लॉकडाउन में चल रहा है मुंबई. कैसे?
हाँ, लगना भी चाहिए. I think like my style changes every time we speak, which is like every 2 or 3 months.
Correct. Correct.
Very cool. You know, I was watching before we get started with this Hello Charlie का trailer. I know I watched your review and I was like, but trailer तो देख लेते हैं एक बार. इसमें क्या है ऐसा जो अनु का review इतना मजेदार था? यार, Aadar Jain sounds too much like Ranbir Kapoor. यार, it's disconcerting.
हाँ,
Yeah.
He sounds
Yeah.
just like his cousin. Rahul?
he does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he
Absolutely.
does. He reminded me of, I think I mentioned it, he reminded me of that guy in the Shibani Kashyap video
Yeah.
for a bit, which was my favorite song, so I didn't mind that. But still.
But his voice is too much like Ranbir Kapoor, and it's very
Yeah.
upsetting to me personally. But moving on, talking about the films that have turned 20 years old. Number one, we're going to start with Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. For a second, I forgot what K3G stands for.
That happened.
So, kuch no. Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. Oh wow! Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that. I
Just
tell you.
milestone movie of my teenage years. Milestone. I wanted to be Kareena Kapoor so bad. So
You know,
bad.
I have to tell you guys that so I was, of course, already reporting and reviewing at the time, and it's so funny now when I went back to look at my review, and I'm talking about how the second half is a little synthetic. It's like no shit, you know.
No shit.
You know, but I tell you, it's funny because at the time, you know, K3G was really the kind of the grand finale of the family drama that had begun in the 90s, that had really started with you know, Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, and then kind of went into another zone with DDLJ, and then this was the high point of the family, because really, where could you go from here, right? You couldn't get any bigger in terms of stars, in terms of budget, in terms of London, you know, in terms of just the emotion. Like, it was dialed up to 11 the entire time, right? And after this movie, I felt that we went back to India. You know, it was after this 2001 kind of massive explosion of like the whole Karan Johar, Yash Chopra, NRI family drama, that we started to go back to, you know, like what is India, and to start to go back to the small towns, which I feel now are a complete formula in themselves, and I'm frankly quite done with it. I'm now wanting an NRI glossy somewhere else, but ab kahan jayenge pandemic mein? But you know, it's so strange to me. What I love and what I would love to hear your views on with K3G is that it was actually at that time of release, it was the most uh, conformist, old within this trio of films. You know, Lagaan broke new ground, Dil Chahta Hai broke new ground. A3G was what we had already seen, and yet in 20 years, that film has become like a touch point for everybody. Like, you know, it's like you say one line and you know what the entire context is. You don't, you know, if you say, tell me how it was, समझ आ गया कि पूरा क्या है, you know, and that
Pretty hot
character
and
of,
tempting.
yeah, exactly, you know, I mean, how does that happen with a movie where it's not um, the biggest thing that happens in its time, but then it just grows and grows and grows. It's just, I mean, it's something I go back to all the time.
I have a theory. I have a
Hmm.
theory regarding that. And I'm going to credit my generation, those of us who were teenagers back then watching the
Hmm.
film. Why?
Hmm.
Because I think that Hrithik Roshan doesn't get enough credit for the success of K3G. You know, when you
Okay.
look back on it, you're thinking Shah Rukh, Kajol, wow, Bharat match jeet gaya, Amitabh Bachchan, Jaya Bachchan. But my whole group of friends and anyone I knew only was crazy about K3G because of Hrithik Roshan. Because Kauna Pyare had just become what it became. And then suddenly we were going to see him with Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan was already like Kauna Pyare and Mohabbatein released the same year. So Shah Rukh Khan was still very much Shah Rukh Khan, right?
Hmm.
But for them to come together, it was like, what in the world? So I watched the film just because of him, and you know, all my friends and my whole generation, everyone I meet who's my age who watched the film just because of Hrithik Roshan. And then, you know, the whole thing when he's like the ultimate, he comes into this college and Kareena was, ये कौन है जिसने मुड़के पू को नहीं देखा, दीवाना है देखो
Yeah.
बेकरार वो हो. I mean, those portions of the film are my favorite portions of the film. And then this generation then grew up, and within the next 10 years were all over the internet. So all the memes and all the recollection pieces and all the, you know, sketches or identifying like Pooh for the feminist icon she probably was, but with little flaws, came then this generation who then took to the internet and then spread this love far and wide. And I think that's one of the reasons why K3G, I mean, I'm not going to say it still remains relevant because it's not relevant, but it still remains very much in conversation because of the
But it still
nostalgia that
remains
it brings to.
pleasurable.
It's very fun because of the
It's very
nostalgia it
fun.
brings to the internet, the millennial generation is what I think happened.
Hmm.
That's my
Hmm.
theory.
Rahul?
Rahul?
Yeah, it was for me. It was obviously, as Sucharita mentioned, it was like a casting coup, right? Like it was the ultimate. Like I remember, of course, even I was a teenager, and I went with my dad, who was a big Amitabh Bachchan fan growing up. Obviously, that's one generation. Then there was me, who was like the biggest Shah Rukh Khan fan in Ahmedabad at that point of time, I think. And and then I had my best friend along with me, who was the biggest Hrithik Roshan fan. Like he was the enemy in my so I was like, okay, let's all go to see and measure their performances against each other, and let's just like declare a winner at the end of the night. And it was great fun because yeah, of course it had come on the back of such a big year. And I'm just looking back on 2001, it felt like a lottery because I'm just looking at the amount of the other titles that released, not only Dil Chahta and Lagaan, like Monsoon Wedding, hundreds of the different
Yeah.
kinds of family films that we are seeing. And it was a perfect icing on the cake after a very, for me, it was a path-breaking year in Hindi cinema. It was the year Hindi cinema changed, mainstream Hindi cinema changed for good. And
Yep. Yep.
yeah, and so it was a nice December release, and I remember having an absolute ball in the theater because obviously there's this competition going on. And yeah, and I came out really liking Hrithik Roshan because before that it was a ego thing. Like I was like, how can someone come and take Shah Rukh's sort of crown away and this and that? But I really enjoyed the film at that point of time. And obviously, I think BuzzFeed has to take a lot of credit for this memification of K3G over the years, because I think in the last 5 or 6 years, the amount of memes and the amount of like pop culture hysteria that BuzzFeed has generated alone for K3G is the reason the internet has broken with and taken it forward as a cult sort of movie.
वही मैं
Because
कह रही
even
हूँ ना, वही जो जनरेशन है हमारी, हमें रियलाइज हो गया कि ये बिल्कुल परफेक्ट मीम मटेरियल है. द होल
yeah,
फिल्म इज मीम मटेरियल स्टार्टिंग टू एंड, every scene.
But guys, I'll tell you. See, of course it's fun, and of course there's so much that is meme worthy, right? And yet somehow it also connects at a emotional level. There are moments in it which I mean I was so surprised that like my snobby daughter who will not watch Hindi movies because she just won't loves K3G, all right, because it just and like you said, Chata, that second half, they know the lines.
Yeah.
Because we've just got and she doesn't know the actors. She won't watch anything. Like she won't watch Vinod's films. But K3G is is her favorite. And so I just think there's something in the movie that endures at a writing level, at an emotional level as well.
Yeah.
Of course, the costumes are fabulous, and of course, it's great fun. And just to look at the money. I mean, one of my favorite scenes as well. Rahul, is this the one you picked as yours, the bench shot?
oh yeah. This was obviously the moment when none of us had a dry eye in the entire theater. There were other moments. Someone mentioned very rightly so that the Farida Jalal scene where she when she actually recognizes who Hrithik Roshan is. And Farida Jalal was one of my favorite actresses through the 90s. Like, it was not like the Rakhi mother, it was far more than that for most of. So when I saw that scene, I remember like really sort of feeling it, and I knew that it was coming. This was like for me a Jurassic Park moment in a Hindi film, that I knew that Hrithik and Shah Rukh they are going to have a big
Rahul
moment.
freeze
I
हो
guess.
गया. नहीं, मैं freeze हो गई.
No,
okay.
it's yours. It's yours, Suchata. He's fine.
Okay.
But you're
Sorry,
good.
sorry.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. So I was just mentally making up the picture of where it will happen, how it will happen, and that park bench obviously got immortalized over time. And even now, whenever I enter my mother's room and she's watching K3G, this is the scene that's somehow perpetually always going on. And the same thing, my mother keeps saying that, look at Hrithik, he's so cute in this scene. He's such a like a nice smaller brother in this scene. And if you had a younger brother, it would have been like this. I was like, no, it's all. I must say, it's aged very well throughout generations. And
It has aged well. That's
has.
the point I'm making, guys, that sometimes they don't age well. But this one, which in fact seemed so dated when it released,
Yeah.
Yeah,
has
exactly.
aged really well.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh my God! Everyone was wearing the Kareena Kapoor shoes, those tight leather pants, and
Yeah.
the Hrithik
Yeah.
Roshan vests. My whole school was about that. My whole school was
Correct.
about that because I went to like a posh Delhi school, and everyone was about applying to international universities and going abroad, and I didn't understand any of that, right? So it was relatable to the children in my school on like another level only. कि हाँ ये तो मेरे
Correct.
बड़े भाई जैसा है, like this is my sister, she's at whatever this university and that university. I mean, look at her, what a queen,
She
what
is
a
a queen.
queen.
She
Oh my
is.
God.
But when I interviewed her about this, she said to me that nobody else on that set actually got what Pooh was except her to a certain extent, but mostly Karan. She said he knew who Pooh was. He enacted those moments. He showed her how to be this person, and everybody else was like, "What is this woman?"
Because she's
but he
also,
knew it.
Pooh is also Kareena Kapoor Khan. You in
Yeah,
interview and
yeah.
everything, it's her. That's her personality, and I guess to a certain extent, Karan Johar's as well. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. It was fab. It was fab. Do we move on now to the more cerebral ones?
Let's see if there's
Yeah.
some fun comments about K3G before we move on.
Huh.
For me, Ashna Kohli says, okay, Aparajita says the best scene in the film is when Shah Rukh and Kajol meet. The whole Ashfaq Mia scene was brilliant. I mean, I don't know if I would watch it now and I'll be able to sit through it because Kajol's performance is just too shrill, but it was very funny, very very funny because this
Yeah.
the one-liners and the quips, like they don't stop, one after
Yeah,
another. Simone
yeah.
Singh and Farida Jalal. So yeah,
But you know what's lovely is actually you're right. The performance is shrill, but the romance still works. that whole scene where he's putting the bangles on her and he says chubha chubha and kabul hai, and then finally she says kabul hai in that wedding song. And then suraj hua madhyam, outstanding. Has there been
अशफाक
a
मियां.
prettier love song? हाँ, अशफाक मियां.
बहुत सही. चलो अब हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. फिर अगली फिल्म कौन सी ले रहे हैं अनु?
I think it's Lagaan. Is it? Are we? Let's go with Lagaan.
Yeah,
Uh,
let's do
uh,
it.
which honestly has given me one of my great life mottos. That line na sach aur sahas hai jiske man mein jeet usi ki hoye. I'm like, yes, that has to be everybody's life motto. But look at what they were doing when everybody was only doing international, urbane, glossy. I mean, look at the courage of this crew, of this actor, of Ashutosh Gwarekar. It's incredible. It's
Yeah.
incredible. You know?
Yeah, I rewatched it a few months ago in the lockdown, and two things I observed this time, which I'd not observed like all those years, 20 years, my God, all those years ago. One, the language is bizarre. They are supposed to be in Gujarat, but the dialect is not Gujarati. It is very बॉलीवुड गांव का डायलेक्ट. हमरे मन में, तुमरे मन में, हमरा तुमरा, all of that is happening and it's not Gujarati. So I don't know why that was not a big deal back then, because if I had watched it as a grown up, that would have really bothered me. But second, just Anil Mehta's cinematography in the song sequences in Lagaan, specifically Ghanan Ghanan and Bar Bar. Haan, the blocking is a thing of beauty, because in both these songs, Bar Bar and Ghanan Ghanan, the whole cast is there. Almost
Yeah.
the whole cast is in both the songs, and the blocking is just incredible. You look at this shot in the bottom left with Amir and everyone behind him, right? And then there's moments when the camera is still, and then Amir comes in, and then another actor comes in, and then another actor comes in, and they come exactly at the same spots, and then the frame fills up, and then it cuts away. The Anil Mehta cinematography is a thing of beauty in the song sequences in Lagaan, and I felt that like this was, if I was reviewing the film, that would be all I would be talking about, and the
You
dialect.
know, my memory of watching Lagaan is there used to be a preview show at Ad Labs in Film City, and that's where the film industry did their preview shows. And you would do 1 6 to 9, 1 9 to 12. So invariably, it would also become a socializing thing, because the 9 wala audience would mix with the 6 wala audience who was going out, and it was hello hi and air kissing and all the rest of it. And Karan tells this story that I don't remember it so well, but he says that I walked out of the film when he was going in to see the next show, and he side me asked me ki yaar, how is it? And I was just stunned, and I looked like I had just seen God, and I said, it's the best thing ever. And I was like, what rubbish, what does she know?
Yeah.
And he said I walked in and it was the best thing ever. It was just such a groundbreaking film in so many ways. And the fact that it got the Oscar nomination, the fact that it played even at 3 hours and 45 or 50 minutes or whatever that insane duration is, it's unimaginable now. I mean, can you imagine a film now that would run for that long?
If you just saw Zack
still,
Snyder's Justice League.
my friend, I sat that one out. That is a 4-hour odyssey that I cannot handle. My life is much shorter than yours. So, let's be honest. Let's be real.
So
here.
dark, yaar, Anu, what the hell?
It's true. So I'm saying, but to be able to keep people hooked and entertained, and really entertained, really like, and that climax, which I think runs for 35 minutes, is it?
Yeah.
It's
More than that.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
The music also, it's a true Bollywood
Yeah.
musical. Every
Yeah.
song is a masterpiece. I watched the film I think I was in Delhi, I was very young, and because the film had become so popular, I didn't watch it when it released. I think I watched it a few weeks after. It was just running at like a museum or something in Delhi, at a government museum which had a theater, and the film was just running. Just come in and watch. And I just went in and I watched. I was visiting the museum or something with my family, and we're like, oh, Lagaan is starting in 5 minutes. Let's check it out. And again, like the big screen experience, unparalleled. Rahul?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big event because, and this is for me the year that Amir Khan became the Amir Khan that we know and we most of us worship. Because obviously before this, he was only known in context of the other Khans. There was always this healthy rivalry between them. There was this Rangila, there was the Salman, there was the Shah Rukh. But here is where Amir really transcended like everything
Yeah.
we knew about the Bollywood system, the actors, the leap of faith that he took himself as a producer and to take a director who's not been successful before this to sort of just turn this into this magnum opus that we saw. It just like obviously now that see one of my favorite documentaries about about Bollywood, about filmmaking is the Lagaan documentary, Chale Chalo. And we have more context. Now that I watched that documentary, there's not a moment I don't get goosebumps in. That is the documentary we were shown in our filmmaking course, like after my graduation. And that is the documentary that has probably triggered hundreds of filmmaking careers, hundreds of people
Yeah.
who just want to enter the industry or have something to do with Bollywood or something to do with Hindi cinema. So the film stands for so much more than the entertainment it gave us. I remember watching it Lagaan and Gadar back to back on the same day. Like I was that crazy at that point of time because I was like these two films. Lagaan supposed to be the cerebral in my mind art house. That's what it meant at that point of time. But and Gadar is the masala film. And I came up and I went in thinking that okay, Gadar is the bigger hit. It's going to be the more enjoyable film. And Lagaan just turned into a stadium. Like I had been to stadiums before that, and Lagaan turned into like a cricket stadium for me. I had never seen a reaction like that, and to sort of replicate that feeling, obviously, it's never happened after that. And the Oscars only sealed its legacy. I didn't know what a big deal back then it was to be nominated. In the Oscars, I was like, ये तो हर साल Oscars देखते हैं. एक Indian film गई तो कौन सी बड़ी बात है types. And I was like, okay, it's not happened since, so we know now why it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
Wasn't Ashutosh Gowarikar a student at XIC at some point, Rahul?
I think so. I'm not sure if he graduated. I think he did, but
I think so.
yeah.
Fun
maybe.
fact, Rahul.
I know Sanjay
Yeah.
Bansali was.
Sanjay Bansali was, and I think Vikramaditya Motwani was also. Fun
Motwani
fact,
also.
we went to the same film school, Rahul and I, and all these famous people. So that's what, yeah, I mean, what about Rahman though, you guys, music-wise? Anu, what's your favorite
Stunning.
like Rahman song from the Lagaan album?
Oh God, that's a Ore Chori is just I love.
You're such a romantic.
Shah Rukh Khan, ruined by Shah Rukh Khan.
Ruined by Shah Rukh
You
Khan.
know?
तो वो हर आमिर खान में भी शाहरुख खान ढूंढ रहे हो.
Me and Rahul, right? The last, the last men standing. No, it's just the beauty of it was that the songs were not just they worked for that situation. They were part of the narrative. They carried it forward. And like you said, I remember the clouds in Ghana Lagana. It's just those visuals have stayed 20 years, and I haven't watched this film recently. But that visual of those clouds in that sky and that music playing in the backdrop is just so beautiful. There, it was just.
Please go ahead.
Just heaven. No, I'm just saying it's like somebody had said. I think I was doing an interview with Ehsan Shankar and Loyan. They were saying there was a producer who used to say to their music that the highest praise was it gave me the goosies. So it gave me the goosies.
Wow. Look at us. We have almost 600 people watching us live right now. What a fun. Thank you.
Very good fun.
आप ही में से कोई विजेता होगा जो बेयर एसेंशियल्स की गुडीज जीतेगा और फिल्म कंपेनियन की तरफ से और ढेरों पुरस्कार. Yes, Lagaan is amazing. K3G is amazing. Chirag is saying, I had the fortune of seeing this film in Dubai where Indians and Pakistanis became one for 3 hours during that film. What a beautiful sentiment in the cinema hall.
Yeah.
During the climax, it was as if the subcontinent was once again. Exactly. Simon Go Back
How
का
lovely.
emotion हमारे में सब में common है. Indians and Pakistanis, we share that emotion very strongly. Great, you guys. So, O Palan Hare is very soulful. O Palan Hare is my favorite song on the album, just FYI. Just stunning. All right, you guys, another culture-defining, paradigm-shifting, cinema-changing film from the same year, Dil Chahta Hai. Farhan
Can you
Akhtar.
imagine? Can you imagine these three movies in the same movie? I mean,
Two of them
this,
are Amir Khan, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah, which tells you a whole lot. For me, this is really the beginning of cool in Hindi cinema. I remember this so clearly. There was a preview show at Famous in Worli, and we all saw it, and there was such a sense of wow, this is different. We've never seen this before. And I remember driving back from the movie and just being like, wow, what have these kids done? Because they were kids. I mean, Farhan and Ritesh had just begun.
Yeah.
It was their first film. We had no idea, and it was so funny. It was beautiful to look at. That love story of Tara Jaswal and Sid was just so mature. I mean, to have that guy in love with an older woman who's an alcoholic, who's a divorcee, but very beautiful and very dignified, and we are all, and he doesn't even say that he loves her. Like, it was just, I loved it. For me, the only false note in it was that declaration of love in that marriage that Amir's character makes, Akash makes in front of everybody, which I was like, okay, Farhan got filmy there, but they flipped back immediately by cracking jokes about it. So the high emotion doesn't run. It's all back to cool, cool wisecracks again. I loved it, and the music, SEL was just brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah. Rahul?
Yeah, Dil Chahta Hai was probably my favorite film of that, like favorite Hindi film of that year, because obviously I could feel the land shift under me while I was watching the film,
Yeah.
because I was like, I've not really seen something like this. We haven't. This is the multiplex era starting in like right before our eyes. This is what will it'll be known as. And I remember watching it with my family, of course, and one of my friends' families too. And all of us, like a group of 10 people, had gone to watch it, not really expecting much because we didn't know who Farhan Akhtar was, except that he was Javed Akhtar's son. And we were like, okay, another sort of son of a director, son of a film family making a film. I'm sure it's a good film. Let's see. But nobody expected it to really change the way we look at it, because everything after that is a derivation of Dil Chahta Hai. Every rom-com that has
Yeah.
ever come after that is the same aesthetic. It's the aspirational sort of Bombay towny Burby culture that we have been seeing films try to replicate ever since. And I remember just some of the people I was having dinner with after that, like from my friend's family, and they were very like massy people who loved Gadar, who loved all these Sunny Deol films and Salman Khan films, and they were in this. I'll never forget their faces, because they were just in this trance, and there was this absolute, like, they had touched angels sort of thing, saying, and this guy, my friend's father, just looking into the vacuum like this, and I was like, I've never seen the guy like this. And it says so much about how a film can really make you feel like you're part of such an important moment in history. Because I know, like, Dil Chahta Hai right now, if the kids of this generation see it, it may not seem like a special film and all, but that is the original, that is the ground zero of the aesthetic that we see today in Hindi cinema. So that is the film that you should be studying in film schools across the country. And for me, it was a very special film. As you said, all those such transcendent sort of mature moments in a film directed by a 20-something director, such an observational film. Nobody had seen something like a Dimple Kapadia, playing an alcoholic, obviously, and then like that sort of absolutely unsaid love story. And then there was Amir representing a different culture of love stories. There was Saif, like, that is where Saif's career changed too, like, thankfully. And we are all very glad for that, because till then it was that attempt to be the solo hero, and then it just changed after that. So the floodgates opened for everyone involved in the film, and it's easily the most rewatchable film even now. Like, all of Zoya's films also have a lot of Dil Chahta Hai in. Obviously, Zindagi Na Milegi more than most. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you know, it's just a significant milestone.
Yeah. I
You
remember
know, it
watching.
was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead. No, Sujata, you said.
I remember watching an episode of Kaun Banega Crorepati this year, and I remember like watching it on TV, and Amir Khan was the guest, and Amitabh Bachchan asks him कि ये क्या है, ये what is this that you have,
That
and he's
goes.
like, मैं एक नई फिल्म कर रहा हूँ सर, उसके लिए ये रखा है, आप देखेंगे जल्दी आपको पता चलेगा, and little did we know that film was going to become Dil Chahta Hai. I remember that so clearly. You know, with Dil Chahta Hai again releasing the same year as K3G, it was the same socioeconomic group that was represented, which was represented in such big ways in cinema. So now everybody had either Hrithik Roshan to choose from or Amir, Akshay, and Saif. Like, pick your warrior, pick your aesthetic. And I'm only talking about the boys here, right? Because women, I mean, with the exception of maybe Pooh in K3G breaking certain stereotypes, were still very much kind of like, sure in the background. And suddenly, like you could be, it was okay being an Akshay Khanna type in the film from Dil Chahta Hai. It was okay being the goofy Saif Ali Khan type, and it was okay being the devil may care Amir Khan but very intense type also. And then you had 4 different people in the same year that you could emulate. You can't emulate Lagaan because you don't identify with it, but of these people you could emulate them again, right? And then when you look back at Dil Chahta Hai, and even when I watched it a couple of years ago, I didn't like it because I didn't think it aged really well, because I felt it was too masculine. Hum hai nahi andaz kyun ho purana is only aimed at men. It's not, no one's asking the girls this question, they're only asking it to the boys. But I marvel at how much that film packs in, how many different things it talks about, and talks about with intense detail, which is just incredible to be able to do that in the length of one feature film, which is not 3.5 hours long. There is a road trip that changed road trips forever.
Yeah.
It changed road trips forever for everybody, and that's a small part of the film. It's not a road movie, so that's not what the film is about. And just dating, the concept of dating, and how young people can date, and how young people are allowed to converse with each other and talk to each other. And it simultaneously also rejected the idea of arranged marriage, showing you how arranged marriages are stupid and dating is the new cool. So learn how to date, guys. And then we learned how to date because we watched Dil Chahta Hai, right? I mean, Rahul, I don't know if these were the conversations you were having with your friends, and Anu was very much dating by that time, or I'd married by that time. I don't know. Married by that time. But we were just beginning to learn how to date, to be attracted to the opposite sex or same sex, or figure it out. And then it also addresses friendships in a manner that films were not doing. The strength of friendships, and how it's okay to have distance with each other in friendships, and that's okay. How friends move apart as their lives expand, as their lives change, as their interests become more defined, more clear. How friends who've been chuddy buddies and like best pals, how it's okay to take some space from each other. That also Dil Chahta Hai taught me. But I just really wish Preeti Zinta had more to do in the film.
But the beauty was also that the friendship was not in that very sort of larger than life Bollywood style of ye dosti hum nahi chhodenge. There were no declarations of love. You didn't need to do that anymore, and that was for me really amazing. That you are showing friends who are friends like us. Like you have these friends. These are the conversations. You're constantly making fun of each other. You're laughing at each other all the time. And that was the first kind of portrayal of literally people like us. And actually, Sujata, I don't think in terms of just the same class of people, the Raichans and all are a different level. Karan's rich is always a different level of rich.
Yeah.
These guys were still rich that you maybe know in your life. People are upper middle class or even rich, but not mansion in Delhi, landing in helicopters on
True.
Garden Ridge.
True. I guess I meant like just like fashion aesthetic wise.
see, so that was amazing to me. That also the aesthetic of the film was so distinctive. I remember so clearly the lined wallpaper in Dimple's house.
Oh yeah.
The way the cushion covers looked, and just the production design was so clean, was so beautiful. It wasn't like a typical filmy, jhatak. It wasn't jhatak at all. It was like not minimalist, but just very ad film. It was just very refined and classy, and I just loved it, and I loved the characters, and who can forget Subodh, who is my favorite forever and forever. I thought, like, what they did was, again, like Lagan, groundbreaking.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
God,
I
God,
don't
yeah.
think K3G is groundbreaking. I think K3G is like a heightened version of what Karan had done before. He basically dialed it up to,
11.
top
Yeah.
11, exactly. But I think these two films actually, like you said, Rahul, everything that came after was
Yeah.
deriving from this, in the way that love stories post DDLJ all did
Yeah.
some version of DDLJ.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing common in all these films is a complete robust music album. All these three movies, each and
That's true.
every song. There's not
Yeah.
one song that's not good.
Yeah,
Robust.
yeah. Shankar
Incredible.
Ehsaan Loy, man. Yeah. And I miss that. I miss people singing in movies. Yeah.
Yeah, like a
I want,
robust album, that stands on its own. That stands on
yeah,
its own.
yeah. Exactly.
Love it.
Should we begin the quiz, guys?
I think we
Yeah.
should. I think we should. We're getting prompts that we should start the quiz now. So, who is going to go first? I think we're all going to quiz each other and the audience simultaneously, right?
Correct. So
Yeah.
I think I have to go first with K3G.
Okay.
Okay. So what rating does Rohan give Pooh for the prom?
Very specific. Uh,
B minus? I don't know.
2.
Two. Okay then.
No.
And this Sucharita, you've already said. So what is the full form of PHAT?
Okay, I already said this. Rahul, do you remember?
Pretty hot and what?
T
Come on.
यार.
Tea.
क्या होता है
I
T से?
mean, पता नहीं. क्या होता है? I have
Tempting.
to. हाँ, tempting. अरे क्या ही पता. It sounded different. It sounded different in my head, but yeah.
Pretty hot and tempting. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
okay.
which famous SRK Kajol dialogues do they recreate in the film?
I know. I don't like
Yeah.
jokes. I don't like you. That one from
Exactly.
कुछ कुछ होता है. जल्दी घर आ जाना. क्यों? बस एवी. So cheap. सुन तो मैं हूँ. I don't like jokes. I don't like you. Oh, love it. Love it.
Love it. Exactly.
Okay.
Okay,
who
who's
else?
going next?
Rahul, you go.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with Lagan. This is simple. Which is the first song to play in the film?
I mean,
I mean,
Ganan Ganan.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've customized the quiz so that even I know the answers. Otherwise, I'm very bad at quizzes myself.
I'm very bad. I don't remember anything. So, Suchata, you'll have to take all the answers.
I love quizzing so much.
Okay, next question is this is a good one. Who has a clumsy hand while fielding? The guy who drops all the catches, basically.
मैनू तो बिल्कुल याद नहीं है.
नाम तो
I
याद है ना चाहिए.
I guess मारती हूँ मैं. कचरा?
No, it's Bagha. And yeah, and fun fact that Bagha, because obviously it's set in like Gujarat or whatever, it's shot in Gujarat and all. Bagha or Bago is like it's sort of Gujarati slang for a guy who actually drops catches. Even when we used to play cricket in Ahmedabad back in Gujarat, the first thing for someone who just cannot play cricket is just Bago. So Baga is a smart sort of name to use in Lagaan also.
Lovely. No,
Nice.
this. I love this. When I rewatch like Harry Potter and things like that, all the names and all the spells, they all have meanings, which is exactly what they
Correct.
do. I love it so much. All the amazing answers. Oh my God, everyone knows everything. Baga, 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 ganan, 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 ganan. Wonderful, you guys. I think Rahul has one more question.
Okay. This is a tough one. Even I wouldn't have known it. So in the end, where is Captain Russell transferred to?
Oh man.
It is tough.
Okay, let's think
Africa?
about this logically. I think
Oh,
it has
Anu got it.
Johannesburg, South Africa.
I
mean,
just said Africa.
yeah, it's like Central African desert is meant to be very specific, but Africa is a good. Yeah,
There you go.
That's the logical thinking also. Yay! Africa, Africa, Africa. Great. Like just to generally to the continent.
हाँ.
Go. हमका दुई दौड़ ले ली होगी लाखा या कचरा. Who he's talking to in the end? I've forgotten. Dui dor. Okay. For the final quiz of the day, we are going to go on to Dil Chahta Hai. And my first question is कि शालिनी के अंकल का नाम क्या है?
Oh,
Mahesh uncle?
Correct. बिल्कुल सही
very
जवाब.
good.
The hapless Mahesh uncle who's just standing and just watching things. कुछ भी होता रहता है वो.
This is the
Sorry?
only answer I'll ever know about Dil Chahta Hai because my dad still calls Rajat Kapoor Mahesh uncle when he sees him on screen. Like that's all he sees. When he sees him, even in Monsoon Wedding as that creepy uncle, he's like Mahesh uncle is here, and that's never going to leave my mind.
Too funny.
Superb.
All right. Who said या तो दोस्ती गहरी है या ये फोटो 3D है?
Sameer?
Yes, सही जवाब. I had no idea. I just found out that Sameer says this. And for the final question, you guys, everyone watching us live, also, this is your last opportunity to give the right answer. Saif is the right answer. Last opportunity to give the right answer and win the goodies from Film Companion and Bare Essentials. And the question is, what time does Subodh go to bed on a Saturday night?
Oh, damn.
Oh man. 9:30.
You're so close.
Oh man. 9.
9:15?
No. Colder. This way,
Oh,
other way.
9:45.
Warmer.
10:30?
Warmer. Colder. नहीं, पीछे आओ.
10 बजे.
Yes. So dumb, yaar. This is so silly.
Oh, man.
We are the worst quizzers in the world.
Yes, he goes to bed at 10 o'clock. यहाँ पे भी बहुत सारे लोगों ने गलत जवाब दिए हैं. 9, 9:45, 7. But the correct answer is 10 o'clock on a Saturday. And that's supposed to be funny when you're young. But now I'm like, yeah, so. He
Yeah,
goes
I
to
know.
bed at 10, so.
I'm just wondering 10 बजे तो मतलब ठीक ही है.
हाँ ठीक ही है यार इतना बुरा तो नहीं है
But
इतना
Saturday,
बुरा
no?
नहीं है yeah,
Saturday को
yeah.
10 बजे. So hashtag justice for Subodh. We hated on Subodh too much, but like we're all Subodh now.
We are all Subodh. Eventually,
that's it.
everyone becomes Subodh. Just remember that.
Oh my God,
Just
Anu,
remember
when you
that.
meet Farhan Akhtar, please tell him that we had this epiphany during this live broadcast that eventually we are all Subodh now. This was way too much fun, you guys. Final thoughts, Anu, before we wrap it up.
What a great year. I really hope not just Hindi cinema, but Indian cinema has another year like this. You know, with
Yeah.
just one landmark after another, which actually just changes the vocabulary and changes the narrative. I feel like we need another 2021 or 2021 तो अब April हो गया पता नहीं कुछ होगा कि नहीं maybe 22 can be 2001
Yes, we got Hello Charlie. Never mind. Rahul, say na.
Yeah, no, exactly what Anu said. Because, and for me, the closest year, like, sort of quality-wise, was 2012. I think it's been a while, you know, because there were, and like, we didn't know it then because I would have, you know, like, really, I would have really actually valued that year because 2001 for me was board exams. So मैं बोला ठीक है खत्म हो जाओ बहुत मतलब I just wanted to get rid of the year. Bollywood तो passing में था, but only now do I realize what a huge year. Of course, these are only 3 films from the list. If you remember, we had a whole sort of long list
Yeah.
of Indian and Hollywood films, and it was a huge year by all. So I hope, and then we can have another discussion discussing a great year like this, hopefully soon.
Pokhraj is
Hopefully.
saying Rahul is the Subodh of film
Rahul is a
criticism.
Subodha film criticism. That's a great compliment, I must say. I am that disciplined. I will have to admit.
I was 13 years old when all of this was occurring. And I couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of watching and talking and holding
Yeah.
discussions in my school and kind of figuring out, just learning the lyrics to the songs because there was no internet. So I would just get our hands on whatever cassette tape that came with lyrics booklet inside it. Just such a wonderful defining time in my life as a cinephile, हिंदी सिनेमा वाइज. तो मेरे को तो बड़ी फॉन्ड मेमोरीज हैं इन सारी फिल्मों की और इन सारे टाइम की, और मुझे बहुत मज़ा आया आज इन सबको दोबारा डिस्कस करके. एंड टू all the people who are watching us, like over 600 people, I do believe, at last time we checked. Thank you so much for coming in. We keep doing these things on Film Companion as and when our schedules permit, और ऐसे ही हम खूब सारी फिल्मों के बारे में यहाँ पे बातें करते रहेंगे. You should follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and tell us what you'd like to talk about. और भी अगर आपके पास टॉपिक्स हैं तो प्लीज डीएम करो, मुझे पर्सनली भी डीएम कर दो, मैं पहुंचा दूंगी टीम तक सारी बातें. And we'll see you soon here, yeah?
Thank you, guys. It was so much fun.
Peace out.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.